the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Boy, I'm cooking in here, Grayson.
Yeah, I walked in here and who turned the oven on? Good Lord.
I feel like a Thanksgiving turkey. This is how you know fall is upon us in the great state of Oklahoma. When the heater kicks on here in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it gets hot.
Okay, so this might be a difference between you as a homeowner and me who still lives in apartments.
Okay.
When it gets cold, do you turn your heater on or no?
It depends on how cold.
See, okay, that was my point. Because we're in that part of the year where it's cold enough to where my house just sits at 68 and everything is off. AC is off, heater is off. The only time I ever turn a heater on is if it gets down to like 10 degrees and then my apartment's 50. Then we might have to turn it on. But otherwise, man, everything's off and everything's good.
I got home yesterday, and our house, similarly, was just kind of sitting at 65 degrees. And I figured, well, I should probably turn the heater on before my wife gets home because she has a fish that she worries about.
Your wife has a fish?
Yes, she has a fish. She's very worried about the temperature in our house because it affects the temperature of the water, and the fish can't be in cold water, otherwise it gets lethargic and isn't living its best life. And so figured, well, okay, 65 is probably a little on the cool side. Let's go ahead and kick the heater on. But
fair enough.
Doug in Norman says, you are not a Thanksgiving turkey. Maybe a KREF turkey. Not even sure what Doug's getting at there. Is there a joke that's going over my head? Maybe I'm not seasoned enough.
Yeah, our generation doesn't call people turkeys.
Bradford Mustang says, sounds like a single man. Get a wife and kids, and that thermostat will click on all year. Yeah, you just wait.
I will say every time my girlfriend does come over to the house, she is incredibly cold.
405-651-3439 is how you interact with the show today here on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Again, 405-651-3439. The show is brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Are you shopping around for a new vehicle? Head out to El Reno and check out Dorsey Jones. GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and Dorsey Jones, family-owned and operated, mind you, offers outstanding service as well, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So, check out Dorsey Jones. Make the short drive out to El Reno. We appreciate their partnership here on Locked In. And Grayson, there's one name I don't know if we have spoken yet, and it's kind of crazy that we've gotten around to Thursday without bringing this up. But what we have seen over the last few years in the transfer portal era is that there's actually been quite a bit of give and take between the two old Bedlam foes in terms of transfers back and forth.
Uh-huh.
Trace Ford transferred from Oklahoma State to OU, as did Kendal Daniels.
Yep.
Gavin Freeman transferred from Oklahoma to Oklahoma State, as did Caleb Hicks. And interestingly, there's a walk-on safety on Oklahoma's roster right now, Reed DeQuasi, that has done both. He transferred from Oklahoma to Oklahoma State and back to Oklahoma. Spent the 2023 season with the Sooners, 2024 with the Cowboys, and is now back with Oklahoma for the 2025 season.
Interesting.
So, there's been quite a lot of back and forth between the two schools in the transfer market. The Sooners came close to landing Oklahoma State transfer linebacker Jeff Roberson this spring. He wound up going up to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
But as of late, the most recent player that appears to be on the Bedlam market, if you will, in the transfer department is ex-Oklahoma State tight end Josh Ford. Redshirt sophomore, homegrown. He is from Stillwater, a native of Stillwater, a product of Stillwater High. Spent the first 2+ years, 2 going on 3 years of his college career as an Oklahoma State Cowboy. But upon the dismissal of Mike Gundy, announced that he would be entering the transfer portal.
Yup.
And enter the transfer portal he did. And his first visit upon entering the transfer portal was a visit this past weekend to the University of Oklahoma. And so there you go. Oklahoma wasting no time in getting a jump start on the transfer market among tight ends. Josh Ford is a good player, a sizable player, 6'6", like 260 pounds?
265.
Big old boy.
Yes.
And so tight end is obviously a position of need for Oklahoma as you project ahead to the offseason. They will lose Jaron Kanek. They will lose Will Huggins. They will bring back Caden Helms, who has played some good ball since he's gotten healthy again for Oklahoma. They presumably will bring back Carson Kent, who has a year of eligibility remaining. Cade McIntyre has just been constantly hurt. Feel for that kid because he's a good athlete but just can't stay healthy. And then the other guy in the room is Trinae Washington. The Sooners are going to bring in 2 talented true freshmen in Ryder Mix and Tyler Ruxer from the state of Indiana. But there will certainly be space. There will certainly be room for Oklahoma to bring in at least one tight end in the transfer market, and it would appear they have a red eye on Josh Ford.
Josh Ford would be, I would wager, at minimum, the number 2 tight end on Oklahoma's roster this year. Now, whether or not he gets beat out by Jaron Kanek, I don't know. But maybe you don't even try the Jaron Kanek experiment if Josh Ford starts the season on the roster. Maybe you do, but I say that to say Josh Ford is a hell of a player. Can stretch the field down the middle, give you an extra dynamic of your offense there, and also he's huge. He's huge. And if you're in the camp of, oh well, he's a poke, so we don't want the poke or whatever. When Mike Gundy was fired, and you had the mass exodus out of Stillwater into the transfer portal, Josh Ford was one of the few players that everybody wanted to stick around. It's like we had to keep Josh Ford. And unfortunately, that didn't happen for OSU fans. So you're getting a coveted, if you do get him, he is a coveted player. He's going to be a coveted player. And as he continues to develop, because he's only a true sophomore right now, but if he continues to develop, he could be a problem because 6'6", 265 ain't walking around a whole bunch of places. Just let him fall off trees. So that's going to be a player that if he doesn't land at Oklahoma is going to land somewhere else pretty well.
Give us the scouting report on Josh Ford. How good of a pass catcher is he?
Pretty good pass catcher. Pretty good pass catcher. Now 10 catches in his true freshman year. So didn't see a whole lot of action in 2024 to be expected. Not a surprise there. But 3 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown this year. And I think this is one that you have a hard time kind of scouting just because he's so young and didn't get a whole lot of burn at OSU. But if you just listen to the people around, the excitement when he signed and the disappointment when he left, that should tell you the whole story about this guy. So I think wherever he lands, he's going to be a very good player. And I think he can be an SEC caliber tight end as well that can actually help and improve an offense.
The great news is if Josh Ford lands at the University of Oklahoma, we know he's going to be developed by Joe John Finley, right?
You trying to start something, aren't you?
Yeah, because I know there are going to be folks on the text line that are like, yes and amen. And then there'll folks be on the text line be like, what on earth are you talking about? Got to stir it up on a Thursday. A 972 listener in the state of Texas asks, if Caden Durham enters the transfer portal, will there be interest from OU? That's a natural question, one that I'm honestly surprised we haven't faced yet this week in the aftermath of Brian Kelly's firing. If Caden Durham were to get in the transfer portal, yes, there would absolutely be interest from OU. I mean, how could there not be? He's a kid with Oklahoma ties. Double legacy. Both his parents ran track at the University of Oklahoma. The Sooners were the runner-up for his commitment coming out of high school. And depending on what narratives you believe surrounding that recruitment, that was kind of OU's battle to lose. If they were willing to pay him fair market value for his services, they chose not to. He wound up going to LSU. Oklahoma winds up with Xavier Robinson and Taylor Tatum. Batted 500 in that class.
Sure.
But Caden Durham went to LSU, saw the field quite a bit, played a lot as a true freshman. His sophomore year has been a little bit rockier, as it has this year for everybody down in the Bayou. But absolutely, without question, if Caden Durham got in the transfer portal, there would be a high level of interest from the University of Oklahoma. But here's what I can say, Grayson, is that especially after the Jaden Ott debacle this year, especially after Oklahoma went and sunk all that money into the acquisition of Jaden Ott and have gotten virtually nothing in return, the Sooners probably aren't going to be a huge spender this offseason in the running back market amongst portal players. Now, I do expect that they're going to add at least one portal running back, maybe two. But I think once again, it's probably going to depend upon what the price point is for Caden Durham.
So do you think, because I think there are going to be people that would pay a pretty penny for Caden Durham, because I think he's a really good player with a lot more untapped upside. Do you think that prices Oklahoma out of the sweepstakes? Or do you think there's a possibility that given Oklahoma finished second in his recruitment, that Durham gives them a little bit of a discount if the relationships are still right?
Yeah, well, obviously things are a little bit different circumstantially than there was when he was coming out of high school, because the offensive coordinator at the time was Jeff Levy.
Jeff Levy, yes.
You still have DeMarco Murray in town as the running backs coach, whom everyone loves, right? Here's the other factor, though. Caden Durham actually grew up in the OKC area. He didn't move down to DFW, and of course he went and played high school ball at Duncanville, but he didn't move down there until prior to his freshman year of high school, if I recall correctly. He lived in Moore up until then. So the hometown discount thing, that could be real. It just depends, again, on two things. One, what does the opportunity look like at Oklahoma for Durham in his eyes? Can I be the guy there the way that I want to be the guy? And he does want to be the guy. He's always wanted to be the guy.
And I think he's earned the right to expect to be the guy.
He certainly earned that. He had a fantastic high school career. He's been an impactful player at the SEC level in college. But then also, how much of a discount am I going to have to give you if I want to come play at the University of Oklahoma?
Yep. And that's the interesting part of all this, is because if you said they've been spooked by Jaden Ott not performing, and relative to the amount of money that they gave him, are they willing to go toward maybe not giving Caden Durham all of what he could get elsewhere on the open market, but can they approximate it? Or would they approximate it? Is the better way to phrase that.
Yeah, it's hard to say right now, because you also have to consider the variable in the equation that is the rest of the running back market, the rest of the available talent pool at running back in the portal, which could include a guy like Caleb Hawkins, whom we've talked about down there at North Texas, having a sensational true freshman year. He's from Shawnee, Oklahoma. If he got in the portal, there would be a very concrete desire for him, just knowing that whole circumstance, that family dynamic. That would be a kid that will want to stay close to home. And playing at the University of Oklahoma is something that he aspired to growing up. And you might be able, you probably would be able to get a guy like that quite a bit cheaper than you could get Caden Durham. Because it's one thing to produce at North Texas, it's another thing to produce at LSU, and no matter how they actually stack up one versus the other as players, the guy that has played his first 2 years of college football at LSU is almost always going to be more expensive than the guy that has played 1 year at North Texas.
Of course. And let's get to some listener feedback here. Taylor on our YouTube chat says, we really need to focus on growing X-Rob and Blaylock. Wouldn't be upset about getting another portal running back, but no need to find a prize running back in the portal.
Yeah, and Brent from Jenks sent in a similar text on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, said, please, let's just roll with Blaylock and Robinson. We need a solid duo with good backups. And at this point, I believe you can look to the future, not just in the short term, but in the long run, i.e. over the next 2 seasons, and figure Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson are going to be the guys. Those are the guys that, depending on who else you add, maybe the picture changes a little bit, but you can count on those two. Those two have never given you reason not to think that you can trust them and that they can be key cogs in your backfield rotation. And so, feel like you got 2 that are absolutely, certainly in the mix moving forward. You have DeZeff and Walker coming in, who's going to be somebody that, he could give you something early on in the process. He's talented enough. He could be a guy that's seeing the field at least a little bit in year 1. Andy Bass, still hanging out there. I know he's been plagued by injuries, but that's a guy that is athletic enough and devoted enough to see in the field for the University of Oklahoma that you believe, okay, maybe it doesn't happen in 2026. Maybe it's still another couple of years away, but Andy Bass can have a role in this backfield. And then from there, like I said, whatever you get in the transfer market, make it work however you want to make it work. But your 2 calling cards in the backfield for the foreseeable future at this point are Blaylock and Robinson.
Yeah, and if they're the known 1-2, I don't know how likely it is that you land an elite type of dude like Caden Durham.
No doubt.
Because he's going to know that too.
Depending on what happens in November. Like if Blaylock and Robinson play really well in November and it becomes obvious to running backs that are perusing their potential options in the portal that if I go to Oklahoma, I'm probably not going to get a ton of carries in a committee situation with these 2. It's a different situation than if Oklahoma's running game kind of grounds to a halt over this final month of the season, and those same guys that are evaluating the circumstance at Oklahoma come to the conclusion that, hey, I can show up there and I can be the dude right from the jump.
Yeah.
Then, just depending on how that all shakes out, naturally it changes the pitch quite a bit. A 405 listener wants to know, how big is the kid from North Texas? All of 6'2", 200 pounds. So
pretty sizable dude.
Yeah, cut from kind of the same cloth as Xavier Robinson, in a sense. Okay, we got a lot of texts flying in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. Hit us up with your questions, comments, opinions, more of your feedback on the other side as we keep rolling along here on Locked In. It is a Thursday. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is The Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Sooner Nation, are you ready? Football season is here and new arrivals are landing daily at Balfour of Norman from your favorite brands. Whether you're dressing for game day, setting up the perfect tailgate, or hosting the ultimate watch party, we've got everything you need. Live from historic Campus Corner in Norman, Oklahoma. Shop Balfour of Norman, your home of everything Sooner. Shop in store or online at crimsonproud.com.
More public school football is live at krefsports.tv.
Walk in the park. Touchdown, Lions.
Trucks his defender and scores. Touchdown, Westmore.
This Thursday, Westmore travels to the 918 to take on Union. And then on Friday, Southmore visits Putnam City and Moore hosts Edmond North, with all of these games starting at 7 o'clock p.m.
He did! Touchdown!
Catch more public schools this week at krefsports.tv.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true. They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org.
Action! When I grow up, I want to be a director because they get to talk to everybody about everything. They get to make cool movies and dance music videos.
If your child is sick over and over again, it could be PI, a defect of the immune system that affects millions. Early testing can give children a chance to dream.
And when I'm a director, I get to say, lights, camera, action.
For more information, visit the Jeffrey Modell Foundation at info4pi.org.
That's a wrap. Once upon a time, our family had trouble with pests around our home. Did you know that stinging insects send tons of people to the hospital? And teeny ticks and mosquitoes can be all around the yard. Their bites can make people and their pets sick. Mice, rats, and roaches need food and water just like us. You do not want them to visit. They can spread disease and make it hard to breathe. I'm sure glad this story has a happy ending.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
I'm Oklahoma Sooner quarterback John Mateer. My job is to move the ball down the field and get the Sooners across the goal line. If you've been injured in an auto accident, you need a pro to be the quarterback of your medical care needs. Dr. Martin Lopez and the OKC Car Crash Clinic are your premier teammates to help you on your road to recovery. Dr. Lopez is a specialty trained MD with decades of experience. Make your best play call and contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH. That's 405-862-7274 or visit okccrash.com.
Man, I forgot this was happening. I was just scrolling through my feed on twitter.com.
Okay.
And realized that this weekend we are getting one of two regular season matchups between Washington State and Oregon State. The two remaining teams left in the ashes of the Pac-12.
They're playing
each other twice, yes.
I didn't realize
this Saturday, and then they're playing again Saturday, November 29th. This has to be the first time in the 21st century that we've seen a pair of teams face off twice in the same regular season. Obviously, we've seen postseason rematches. Oklahoma and Texas playing twice in the 2018 season comes readily to mind, as do some of the other matchups. Text line's getting out of control.
Should we read the producer's text?
Sure, go ahead, read it.
The producer said, Parker Thune to Grayson before the commercial break. Quote, let's get to the text line. We have a lot of text coming in. Well, no blank, Parker. You basically just suggested that Joe John was about to be fired/deported and or a terrorist. Go figure.
Neither of those things. Neither of those things are what I suggested. I just simply prodded the text line to weigh in with their candid opinions of Joe John Finley, because I know they're going to anyway, so might as well. I totally forgot to tease this, and that's on me. But I do want to take a quick detour here, because Brody Lusk, who covers OU Hoops for OUinsider.com, is on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line. And as the Sooners Hoops campaign gets started here, wanted to get some of his thoughts on where things stand for Porter Moser's squad as far as both the on-court product and what's happening on the recruiting trail. So without further ado, let's tap Brody in here. And Brody, first and foremost, with another year of OU Hoops now on the horizon, what would you say are reasonable expectations for a group that looks on paper to be the most talented squad that Porter Moser has had yet at Oklahoma?
Yeah, first off, I mean, good to be back on here talking some hoops. Oklahoma plays Gonzaga a week from Saturday. That'll be their second game of the season, so we're we're going to learn a lot about this team pretty quickly. Obviously, opening night is a Monday in Norman against St. Francis. So, I think expectations for this team, they've got to be a lot higher than we've seen in years past. I mean, if you don't make the NCAA tournament, that's significant disappointment. We saw this team in 2 exhibitions, and obviously you want to take those results with somewhat of a grain of salt, but they beat number 10 Texas Tech, and then they beat number 24 Wisconsin. So this is a team that's really talented. Obviously, Porter Moser, I would say, knocked it out of the park when it comes to the transfer portal this offseason, retained some guys that are going to be pretty big contributors. And I think when you have a roster this talented, even though you're playing in a tough conference in the SEC, this is a team that should finish in the top 9, top 8 of the SEC.
Okay, so you brought up the SEC, and to compete in this conference, you're going to have size on the interior. That was Oklahoma's Achilles heel last year. But I look at this transfer class, and obviously highlighted by the addition of Darion Reed. How do we feel about Oklahoma's size, not just on the interior, but on the wings as well, coming into this year as opposed to last year?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's something that obviously is one of the first things that stands out with this team. I mean, last year, Jalen Moore was playing the 4, and he's a good 6'6", and they even tried to get away with playing him at the 5 at times.
Mm-hmm.
This year, when you look at this team, you've got Tay Davis, who's a legit 6'9", playing the 4, and then you've got Darion Reed, who's a legit 6'8", who's playing the 3. So the size of this team, and then obviously Mo Wiggy is pretty good size down low at the 5. The size of this team, I think, is much improved, and that's one thing that stands out. I mean, obviously your backcourt is a little bit on the smaller end. Nigel Pack, right, like maybe he's 6 foot. That's what he's listed at. Xavier Brown is not the biggest of the bunch, but on the wings, I think their size is that, like, this is the type of size you expect a team that's going to go compete and have success in the SEC to look like. And then obviously Kai Rogers, they haven't had a freshman with his size come in a long time. I mean, the only big that true freshman that Porter Moser's brought in as a freshman has been Luke Northweather, and Kai Rogers and Luke Northweather are night and day different type of prospects. So I think obviously the size will be much improved, and I think that's going to be one aspect that's going to help this team compete at a high level in the SEC.
Now, Brody, last year when we talked to you before the season started, you said that Jeremiah Fears was going to be the star for OU. I think you might have had higher expectations for him than anybody amongst the OU media contingent. So let me ask you, who's going to be the star for this team this year?
Yeah, I would say I think this year it'll be a little bit more by committee, but if I were to give you one star, I'd probably say Tay Davis all around. Tay Davis, obviously, like, we've never heard Porter Moser hype up a player at media days the way he hyped up Tay Davis, basically saying he believes that Tay Davis could be National Defensive Player of the Year. And what's interesting is that wasn't the storyline when you land Tay Davis. The storyline is he can score it offensively. He's a proven scorer. So I think he'll be their best overall player. I think Nigel Pack, there's going to be a lot of nights where Nigel Pack really stands out and gets hot and scores 21 points. I mean, he's been in college. This is his, 5th season in college basketball. So he's, very experienced player. Xavier Brown will be really impressive. But similar to how last year I said that I think Fears was going to be a first-round draft pick, I think the player on this team that has the chance to be the first-round draft pick is Darion Reed. And I think he's the X factor for this team. And if there were one player on this team, I would say that I could see getting drafted in the NBA next year, it would be Darion Reed. That's the type of expectations they have for him this season, and he has for himself this season. So I think a ton of potential there, and he's kind of, to me, Darion Reed is kind of the next guy for Porter Moser.
Two-part question for you, Brody, and we all saw the clip that went viral on social media of Kai Rogers with all of those blocks in the exhibition game. But going off of that, what kind of impact do you think we could see from him this year as a frontline player? And then he's one of a few freshmen, along with an Alec Blair, along with an Andreas Holst. Are any of those freshmen expected to contribute in any kind of meaningful way this season?
Yeah, definitely Kai Rogers. I think expectation-wise, it's a little hard to gauge because I think Oklahoma fans have gotten a little spoiled when it comes to freshmen being able to compete at this level. Like, I mean, a lot of times it looks like how it looked with Dayton Forsyth last year, where kind of towards the end of the year, you get a freshman who starts to get going and provide some good contributions. But, we've seen Milos Uzan, Otega Owe, Jeremiah Fears all come in and start at this type of a level. I don't think you're going to get that with Kai Rogers. I mean, it's hard to come in the SEC and play the position that he's playing at the 5. Obviously, you saw the shot blocking. I mean, he's a natural shot blocker, which is something that we really haven't seen in Norman in a long time. So I think there will be a role for him. It's obviously just you see the freshman mistakes on the offensive end. We saw that in the Wisconsin exhibition. He didn't play a ton in the exhibition against Texas Tech. I think one thing you're going to see is they may experiment with Tay Davis at the 5 just because he has the size to do it at 6'9". So Kai Rogers, I would expect, expectation-wise, probably 10 minutes a night. And in my opinion, if you get anything more than that from him, it's a very successful, very much success. As far as the other freshmen, Alex Blair, he looked good in the exhibition in the 7 minutes he played. And what's interesting about that kid, I mean, obviously everyone knows he's playing baseball, but I was telling Parker on Saturday, Alex Blair went and played impressive minutes in the exhibition, and then the next day he was playing in the baseball scrimmage. So the kid's a dog. I don't think he'll contribute a ton this year just because there's guys ahead of him. I wouldn't expect much from him. Andreas Holst, he only got there in September due to visa issues coming over across the seas. So I wouldn't expect much from him. But the other, technically a freshman that I think could contribute alongside Kai Rogers is the man Cool Attack.
Cool Attack?
Yes, sir. I think he's gonna. Man, I think there's gonna be some times when a lot of Oklahoma fans look at this team and say, "Who is this guy?" I mean, because what stands out with him is 6'9", and he's probably $180, right? He's added 20 pounds this offseason, so that's kind of the thing for him has been adding weight. But this is the best pure shooter they have on this team, and Nigel Pack's on this team. Cool Attack is. I mean, he can shoot the lights out. You saw that. I mean. You saw that in the Wisconsin exhibition. He comes in about the 12-minute mark, immediately throws up a three-pointer, and then hits one from way behind NBA range, not even a minute later. But he's really had an impressive offseason. He was actually their leading scorer throughout the summer and then has really, continued that. They've actually, I mean, Porter Moser historically has not played a lot of zone defense. They've actually in practice experimented going zone just to be able to get him on the floor because he's more of a traffic cone defensively. So I think he'll be kind of a guy that I think his minutes will fluctuate. But I think he'll have a role in this team just because he shoots the ball so well that you almost have to play him.
Look at Brody being a big-time journalist, using the correct pronunciation. Cool Attack.
You had me believing it was Cool Attack, Parker.
That's what it'll always be to me. I'm always going to call him Cool Attack. I don't care what's real and what's not, what's correct and what's not. He will always be Cool Attack to me. But, Brody, before we let you go here, give us the 411 on Oklahoma's recruiting efforts in the current cycle, how things are going, some names to watch out for, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the mix for 3 top 20 prospects. That's something that we've never been able to say when it comes to Oklahoma basketball recruiting. And one of those guys is going to be the number 3 overall prospect, according to Rivals, Dylan Mingo. This is someone that Justin Scott, who came over from St. Joe's as an assistant coach, he's been actively recruiting Mingo. He's got a lot of ties up in that New York area, so he's been recruiting Mingo, and he was originally scheduled to visit 2 weeks ago, but had a foot injury, which caused him to be non-weight-bearing. So things have kind of been up in the air, but it's trending like Oklahoma will be one of the last stops on his, I'll just call it a world tour, because Mingo has already taken 7 to 8 visits. So this man he's visiting a lot of different schools, but Oklahoma is very much involved with him, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's on campus next weekend. You've also got Miles Sadler, top 20 point guard, who just visited earlier last week. He also visited West Virginia last weekend. It's very much between those two schools, OU and West Virginia, and then Ethan Taylor, a top 20 center. But with him, I think this is more Michigan State, Kansas. Oklahoma is there kind of as that third team, but I think they're more so on the outside looking in. So right now, you really got those 3 main guys, Oklahoma looking to land one of them. And if you can walk away landing one top 20 prospect in addition to Gage Mayfield, who they already have committed that would be a very good haul. So they're working to get Mingo on campus and make sure that happens, because if you get him on campus, you can kind of sell him on that Jeremiah Fears role, and that's kind of what Mingo's looking for. So maybe they have a chance there. I don't know. I'll buy it when I see him actually be on campus, but that's someone that they're very much pursuing along with Sadler and Ethan Taylor.
Brody Lusk does a fantastic job covering OU hoops for OUinsider.com. Give him a follow on Twitter at Brody Lusk. Brody, we will check in with you again soon as this season gets rolling for OU on the hardwood. Appreciate your time.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Doug and Norman. Oh, here we go. Anytime we bring Brody on, Doug and Norman is all over him on the text line. I don't know what Doug's beef is with Brody, but here we go. Cool attack is basketball's Andy Bass. To hype attack as a factor proves my point that you have no credible basketball coverage.
Huh?
Okay, Doug.
To each their own, I guess.
How about this? Tomorrow, Doug, we'll get you on the show to break down the OU Hoop squad. How about that? We can put your insights up against Brody's.
I will say, I think OU basketball is going to be really good this year.
Really?
I think they got a lot.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid?
I think they got a lot of two-way wings, and they've got ball handlers that can be closers at the end of the game, and they've got improved size down low, which was their big problem last year. I think this is going to be a squad.
I mean, listen, you're more of a basketball guy than I am, so I will take your word for it. I've been down this road enough times, the Porter Moser era.
I mean, that's fair.
Like,
that's fair.
I hope it.
But the construction of this team this year is just talk about the construction of the team is a lot better than it was a year ago.
I hope it finally pans out for Porter this year. I hope he's got a legit tournament team that can make some noise in March. We shall see. I'm keeping expectations tempered. 405-651-3439. Back to your texts on the other side. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Sound off any time of day on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA.
Ready to jumpstart your future? Start training for a high-demand, high-wage career in healthcare, construction, IT, manufacturing, or STEM while you're still in high school. Moore and Norman sophomores, juniors, and seniors apply online today to attend Moore Norman Technology Center next fall. Talk to your MNTC rep at school or visit mntc.edu to learn more. Change your life, build your tomorrow, start your future now at Moore Norman Technology Center.
It's spooky season here at Riverwind Casino.
And the monster jackpots are taking over.
Experience all thrills and chills on brand new electronic games.
Celebrate in style as a VIP in a private suite in our Showplace Theater.
Game like an MVP when you play with your wild card.
Drop in every Friday in October to win your share of our $100,000 Creepin' for Cash giveaway.
So keep the good times rolling at your favorite haunt.
And we'll see you at Riverwind Casino.
Whether you're celebrating a special occasion, desire a great postgame, or after-work dining experience, the Ranch Steakhouse is the winning choice. At Ranch Steakhouse, we're grilling up the best USDA prime steaks in Oklahoma. Juicy, flavorful, and cooked to perfection. Pair that with an unbeatable atmosphere, a killer drink selection, and a wine list of over 400 personally curated bottles. Whether you're toasting the game or winding down after a big day, Ranch Steakhouse is where champions eat.
You are deeply in love and you want to get married. Obviously, you're going to need an engagement ring, and you may be exploring online the multitude of choices that you have available. You don't really want to ask your friends for advice because you don't want to divulge your secret. So who do you turn to? I'm Tim Lewis, and my brother and I started Lewis Jewelers more than 48 years ago, and we still own it today. But did you know that most of the corporate jewelry stores are owned by only one or two companies? For instance, Zales, Gordon's, Diamonds Direct, Jarrett's, Kay's, James Allen, Blue Nile, and many others are all owned by one large company. So if you think you're actually shopping around, you are not. To get a truly better value, you need to compare us at Lewis Jewelers. The big boys simply have more money to spend on advertising so that you won't compare us at Lewis Jewelers. Visit us at Lewis Jewelers on I-35 and more. Then you'll be glad to tell your friends. It came from Lewis Jewelers.
This season, don't get tricked by high rates. At Cavender Subaru of Norman, we're serving up something sweet. 0% APR for 72 months on a new 2025 Outback or Crosstrek. That's right, legendary Subaru capability with a deal that won't haunt your budget. But hurry, this offer disappears November 3rd. Come by and take one for a test drive today. Visit us online at CavenderSubaruofNorman.com or in person at 3305 Corporate Center Drive. Cavender Subaru of Norman, where confidence is Cavender.
Are you looking for a luxury apartment for rent in Norman? The Falls at Brookhaven offers stunning 2- and 3-bedroom spacious floor plans with large walk-in closets, washer and dryer hookup, and a fabulous kitchen in a well-maintained, calm environment. From plush carpet to sleek stainless steel appliances to a pool, 24-hour fitness, and 2 dog parks, the Falls at Brookhaven has it all. Call our locally owned and operated community at 405-701-8233 or go online to thefallsatbrookhaven.com for a free tour and see what living in luxury is like.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Oh, no, Plank. No, Plank.
What do you do?
Gosh, this is a Hall of Fame typo right here. And he outed himself. This never had to see the light of day. And Plank just outed himself on Twitter.com.
All right, tell me about it. Let's go.
He just tweeted moments ago, I want to thank SEC cousin Shane for still coming on today despite this terrible typo when I texted to see if he could come on. And he attached a screenshot of the text in question.
Oh, no.
Hey, Shane, I've moved to mornings, but would love to still get you in the shower tomorrow or Friday if you're available. Obviously, that was supposed
I'm sorry, what?
Obviously, that was supposed to say on the show. On the show somehow became in the shower in Plank's text conversation with cousin Shane.
Can I ask a not-so-obvious question?
Sure, why not?
Have any other one of you people ever had show spell check to shower?
Never. I'll tell you, though.
Because I have not.
I'll tell you, though. Earlier this year, Apple did some update, which they do from time to time. They do screwy things with their software sometimes.
No, that's fair.
Like,
yeah.
They pulled some update where the autocorrect function gets way trigger happy sometimes.
Yes.
Like you can't even type the word well anymore because it'll autocorrect to wheel.
Yes.
Like wait, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
my
concho.
Plank out here putting up. He said Plank out here putting up Steph Curry shots.
That's what you say when somebody has like a wild opener on Tinder or something like that.
Sooner Wildcat says, oh my, I just spit my Coke out all over my freaking dashboard in the on-cue parking lot listening to that. Oh, a 214 listener says, I thought this was a football show. Can we stop talking about basketball? This is football season. No one cares about Porter Poser. No one really cares about basketball till March anyway. My apologies, sir, for spending one segment this week on OU hoops and recruiting as opposed to OU football and recruiting. Can we all just be okay talking about OU sports, even if not every single segment, every single day is exactly the topic that we want to hear about? Trust me, we get hundreds and hundreds of texts every single day from listeners asking questions that I can't answer, at least not all of them, in the span of a single show. It's okay that we're talking about OU basketball. It's okay that we had a brief preseason discussion with somebody who covers the team very closely for 10 minutes. Good grief. Let's get back to football, though.
Kyle from Salsaw says, when you said no plank, all I could think of was Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
I've never seen that show.
You haven't?
No, I haven't. Can't relate. But let's get back. How about this? Let's get back to football and recruiting so that we can appease that one texter, if no one else. And let's return to your texts on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Reformed Sooner, and we were talking about running backs in the first segment of the show. Reformed Sooner says, you better have at least 4 running backs. And yeah, Oklahoma's going to carry 5 or 6 scholarship running backs, always. Now, in terms of guys that are meaningfully ready and willing and able to contribute, yes, I would say you want to have 4 at any given time. Because, heck, Oklahoma has used 4 at one point or another this season. It's been Blaylock, Xavier Robinson, Javante Barnes, and very briefly Jaden Ott. Right? So you got to have depth in the backfield. You got to have talent in the backfield. The bones are there for Oklahoma, but they need to round things out in the offseason because there will be a portal departure, if not more than one portal departure in the running back room. And you're going to have to respond by going to the transfer portal yourself to add some depth. 405 Taylor asks, Parker, chances we get Kobe McKenzie back on Saturday? Up in the air right now. We'll see how things progress late this week. I should have a better idea tomorrow because obviously they'll be finalizing travel details and figuring out which, I think it's 74 guys that you can travel. So they'll be finalizing the list at that point. I don't know exactly when they're shipping out for Knoxville, but at the very least, we'll know at that point who the 74 that are traveling are going to be. So there's a shot for Kobe McKenzie, a shot for Gentry Williams, a shot for Logan Howland. Things are not looking good, obviously, for Keontez Lewis. Probably makes a lot of sense, as we discussed yesterday, to just hold him out through the bye week. And then who am I forgetting? Who was the other guy that was doubtful yesterday besides Keontez? Derek Simmons.
Derek
That's
Simmons,
right, yeah.
yes,
And Derek Simmons isn't playing.
Yes.
Larry from Cashin says, hey, Tatum got 1 carry. Yeah, he did. One snap and 1 carry on the year for Taylor Tatum. It went for -1 yard.
Hey, keep this in mind, too. Also, as it pertains to Kobe McKenzie, this is a soft tissue injury, too. So you don't want to make that thing worse. So if there's even a chance that you can make that worse and put him on the shelf for longer, I would lean on the side of just holding him out. You got ample depth at linebacker to where you can be okay with saying, okay, Owen Heineke, go play extended snaps.
Kyle from Salasaw says, that texter is a hoe. While I have you here, why doesn't Grayson also cover basketball? I'm with Grayson, though. I think our hoops teams are really good this year. You watch a lot of hoops.
I watch a ton of basketball.
Yeah. And we'll talk about
NBA and college.
Yeah, and we'll talk about basketball on this show over the course of the late fall into the winter, because if expectations hold true, then this will be a pretty competitive Oklahoma basketball team.
Yes.
And we'll cover them every step of the way, no doubt. Keep in mind, folks, this is a show about the illustrious University of Oklahoma and the sports therein. While it is true that primarily we focus on football and recruiting, we reserve the right to talk about other sports at times. Always have, always will. Mike Honcho says, don't go full Hallie, Kobe. Never go full Hallie. What does going full Hallie look like? That's a reference to Tyrese Halliburton, obviously. I'm not enough of a basketball guy to pick up on what Mike Honcho's putting down.
Maybe the Achilles?
Yeah, but it's not an Achilles, Kobe.
I mean, it is a soft tissue thing, maybe. Maybe that explain that one. Explain how that worked in your mind for us.
Little Red says, saw Aaliyah Chavez play yesterday, and she is legit fastest shot I've ever seen.
She's cold.
OU women's hoops about to get exciting.
She's cold.
Adam from South Dakota wants to know, when is the redshirt versus 5-year eligibility coming into play? Will it change recruiting? Interesting, because Brent Venables said in his press conference on Tuesday, yeah, I've been led to believe that's not too far off. And then it was the next day. I can't recall whether the NCAA issued a statement or it was just some report from a highly credible national reporter, but basically the word the following day was, yeah, this is not something that seems to be imminently close in college athletics. So, I don't know, man. These days, anything that the NCAA is doing has just become completely unpredictable. Like, you can't make heads or tails of what the NCAA's next move is going to be. That's just kind of the way it's been ever since the dawn of the NIL era, which obviously fundamentally altered the landscape of college sports and very quickly accelerated a series of additional sweeping changes across the landscape. A listener in the state of Texas says, Parker, at this point, would it be better to just go with the freshman offensive tackles and tell Simmons, thank you for coming, but we're moving on? I mean, you could do that. I mean, again, I don't think Derek Simmons is going to be available. I don't think he's going to travel this week. Don't think he's going to be available, period, for this Tennessee game. On the other side of the bye, I've been told, like, as we're projecting ahead, he could play against Alabama, but more realistically, he's back from Missouri. And at that point, you kind of do have to wonder, okay, is he just going to kind of want to move on from football? Is he going to want to be done and not risk incurring further bodily damage? Because the concussion that Derek Simmons sustained is not his first or his second or his third, if you catch my drift here. He's been through it. And when you play such a physically demanding position as offensive line, Grayson, hey, he may come to the realization, kind of like it felt like Branson Hickman came to this realization at a certain point in the 2024 season. Hey, I'm probably just going to call it, man. Like, I'll still be a part of the team. I'll still support this team. I'll still suit up for this team, but this is it for me. I don't know if that's what Derek Simmons is going to do, but with all that he's been through injury-wise, concussion-wise, I'm just saying you would understand why.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the brain and all that we've come to learn about the lasting impacts of getting hit upside the head and being concussed more and more and more.
By the way, here was the clarification on the going full Halley thing. Halliburton played through a calf strain, and it turned into a torn Achilles. Going full Halley is forcing an issue and making an injury.
Yeah, the only reason it didn't connect in my mind, because that's where I thought you were going, the only reason it didn't connect is because McKenzie's dealing with a groin and not a calf.
Mm-hmm. Larry from Cashin says, Simmons has jelly for brains. Dude is okay, come on now, Larry. Right. Come on now, Larry. Derek still played some good ball this year for Oklahoma.
He did.
Yeah, and if he is indeed back for the last couple of games of the year, those could be a very pivotal couple of games for Oklahoma. If they can keep this thing afloat against Tennessee and against Alabama, if they can keep their college football playoff hopes afloat, then you come back for a 2-week homestand, 2 consecutive home games to wrap up your regular season against Missouri, and LSU. And if you can get clear of those games, who knows what happens on Selection Sunday if you're 9-3 or more, ideally 10-2. Although I don't think Oklahoma's going to be 10-2. In fact, I'm not even all that confident they're going to get to 9-3. But this team has surprised me before. Elsewhere on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, Oliver in Tulsa says, Total DB, whining about having to hear about Sooner hoops on the home of the Sooners. Do you think both Ott and Tatum hit the portal? Well, Oliver, Jaden Ott is done. Jaden Ott does not have any remaining eligibility at the end of the season. So this is it for him. Taylor Tatum, I would be really, really surprised if he is back in an Oklahoma uniform in 2026. You never want to speak in absolutes. You never want to speak in certainties when it comes to the transfer portal. But that is the type of guy. And I think pretty much everybody with half a brain is here. It would be really surprising to see Taylor Tatum back here in 2026.
Yeah, no kidding. It just hasn't worked out here.
No, it hasn't. And
for
a guy
litany
like that,
of reasons.
Yeah, guy like that, what is typically going to serve him best is just a change of scenery.
Yep.
A fresh start. And ultimately, he's been surpassed in the pecking order in the backfield by Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson. So if he does stick around just from a business standpoint, man, like there's not going to be a ton of touches for him. At least not unless he rediscovers something that's just been absent from his game since that very, very exciting start to his true freshman season. All right, a couple more texts to wrap us up here on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Brad from Maryland says, Ott screwed up any future prospects. Yeah, I mean, he'll get a shot at the next level, as pretty much everybody that's done the things that he has done does. But I can't imagine any NFL front office is salivating over Jaden Ott right now, based on what they've seen or haven't seen on the 2025 tape.
He'll get a camp invite, though.
He'll get a camp invite, no doubt. By the way, you asked about Kendal Daniels and his draft stock a couple days ago.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
I was told pretty reliably yesterday, or maybe the day before that the sense is he's going to be a borderline top 100 guy. So there you go. Your late third round, early fourth projection, pretty spot on. All right, folks, we're done. That's all for Locked In here on a Thursday. Tyler and Ted coming up next with The Rush here on the home of Sooner fans. We'll see you tomorrow.